Yeah, I can either be independent and know that no matter how I build my life, I can always rely on myself and have, that and be working constantly on like self love and that sort of thing. Or I can be like soft and needy and like there's a lot of negative words I could associate on the or side to me, right? So it's like needy, weak, those sorts of concepts.
This is The Growth Moment with your coach, Amy Kay. Inspiration, ideas, and incredible insights for you to be more and do more. Get ready to grow today. This is a highly intimate and vulnerable episode. Probably the most intimate so far with The Growth Moment. We go deep into relationship territory, focusing on how to bring your full self to your most important relationships. We wrestle with the inconsistency that many of us face in relationships, that we can be so good in other areas of our life, but not always able to access that best self with the people we care most about. How we can get stuck, knowing that we're holding back, tangled up, stumbling over limitations, either or thinking. Wanting to break through to something bigger, better, but not always knowing how to get there. My client today, who is courageously exploring her relationship, is Massey, a longtime client who happens to be an amazing lawyer, mother to a large family, so smart, extremely independent and capable, also deeply soulful and spiritual. A truly stellar human being who is willing to take a bold look at where she needs to grow. If you know deep down inside that you are stuck or holding back in a vital relationship, that there's more that is possible, this episode is a special gift meant just for you. Like Massey, it might be your romantic relationship that is ready for more. Or it might be a professional relationship, one with your child, your parent or sibling, a valuable friend. I invite you to pick a relationship to focus on as you listen to the coaching. This episode incorporates some core coaching tools, asking, what do you want? Moving from that either or into the both and perspective, overcoming limiting beliefs and paradigms, and leaping right out of your comfort zone into your growth zone. A cornucopia of coaching tools. So get ready to grow as we jump in right after I ask Massey what she most wants to coach on.
What's actually resonating with me is when in like my most intimate relationships, how little patience or when I think about the question about like, where am I most stuck? The truth of the matter is I'm like most stuck on how to be a better partner and what that means to me or what I want that to look like. Sometimes I just feel like, oh my gosh, I know so much about so many things, or I can navigate really difficult conversations or deal with high conflict. And I'm a champion at that. But when it comes to like the intimate relationships in my life, I am not that great. And I was thinking on the drive here today, like, I really only know how to communicate. If I'm honest, I really only know how to communicate in like a couple different ways. I know how to communicate by writing things out as a lawyer, right? I know how to communicate by arguing things. And I know how to communicate by negotiating things. Like, and you know what? Those don't really serve you in like a partnership. So that's where I'm most stuck.
So take a breath with that. I want you to feel it in your body right now, where the truth of this hits you of, gosh, in some of my most important relationships, I haven't had access to my full Massey capacity.
Yes. There's like a whole nother person there that I don't even really know. And I can't quite figure out like how to learn about that person or incorporate that person into my life. And, some of it, there's some like fear blockage there, but it's also, I think, just a lack of connection. It's so disconnected for me in a lot of ways. And, my significant other, he will say, like, at times, like, you seem really disconnected. And I do live in my head a lot. I think that's just the nature of the type of person and work that I do.
Well, your wiring and kind of who
Yes.
you be.
Who I be is inside my head. And I don't really know how to be with another.
So, Massey, if you could have it the way you want it, what do you want? Who do you want to be in your most important, personal, intimate relationships?
I want to be somebody that feels supportive to another, that's encouraging, but not in the way of like mothering/coaching. I don't want that type of support or encouragement. It's something different. Um, I'm a pretty good listener. That's not the issue. I'm a terrible communicator, I think. Maybe about my own needs or maybe about, I just can't get like out of my head, and it sounds so ridiculous. Like I just can't get out of my head to like interact sometimes in a meaningful way. And like, so easy emotions like take over, right? Like quick anger or frustration. And right, like in the professional setting, a lot of people come before me and I can be super like compassionate and kind of find a moment to connect, but that is fleeting and I need to learn how to sustain that. And
Is elusive. I'm hearing it's elusive for you
yes, I think that's a good word.
at home.
Yes.
All right. And I will tell you, for me, I'm such a good coach, such a good communicator. When I have my coaching hat on,
Mm-hmm.
my significant other, he gets so damn little of that.
Yep.
And that same, I'm in my head, quick, easy emotions, and where I'm like, where's that connection?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm doing some good self-management right now of going, oh boy, I bet I'm going to grow a lot after this session because you're bringing to me something I need, much less to whoever out there is going to need this one. So you, my dear, are not the only one.
Okay.
So let me play back to you what I'm hearing, that you've got this elusive will o' the wisp, capacity that you haven't fully stepped into or grown into, of being able to be supportive and encouraging. And I heard you say it's a different way.
Yes.
It's not a mothering, it's not a coaching. How do you think it would feel if you could imagine how it would feel to do it in the way you want? So, could you get out of your head right now and into your body? How do you think it would feel to communicate the quote right way? Oh, yeah, this is definitely a growth area for me, and I hope for you as well. Deeply wanting to bring your best self to your most important relationships. The pain or frustration when you keep missing the mark, and how we're so good with some people, but then so not when it counts. It takes courage, a certain boldness and integrity to enter the relationship growth zone, the willingness to call bullshit on yourself, acknowledging that you can do and be better, to step up to what you're really capable of. Okay, it's your turn. Did you pick a relationship to focus on? Make sure you have one in mind right now. Remember, it can be any relationship right across your life. I ask you the same question I asked Massey. If you can have it the way you want it, who do you want to be in your relationship? Take a moment, really contemplate. Who do you want to be in this relationship? How do you want to be? What does having access to your full self look like for this relationship? You can pause the podcast, take a few notes, whatever you need. And notice that question, if you can have it the way you want it. That question cuts right through the noise, right into the bottom line, the heart of it all. And while I think of it, if you missed my last podcast, episode number 13, it's a solo, just Amy episode all about the amazing power of the what do you want question. I think it's a must-have for your toolkit. But for now, keep thinking about who you want to be in your relationship and what that would look like. We go back in after I ask Massey how she thinks it would feel to communicate in, quote, the right way, basically to be who she wants to be in her relationship.
The word that keeps like circulating in my head is soft. I think with less edges, with less hypercriticalness, which is a shield and a sword at the same time in a lot of ways. But yeah, I think it's softer.
Right. Stay right there. Softer communication. He said less edges and definitely less sharp edges. I don't know if you can close your eyes and see something. Is there a shape or a visual or anything that comes up, or just a sense of even a tactile feel? What can you imagine would embody that softness?
Yeah, it has like a glow to it, right? I It's like a warm, leading from a spot of like the warmness of your heart.
So go to all your senses, Massey. So there's a glow, there's warmth. What else?
I guess it's interesting. Like, okay, the concept of touch, but like mending touch with like communication, like that's very. I do not communicate well through touch.
Ooh.
Like it's a thing for me, and for my partner, he very much does communicate through touch, and so that's
Oh,
definitely
so that whole love language thing. His love language
right.
is touch me. I feel connected with,
And
in all levels
yes,
of, physical connection, I imagine. And you're like, oh, I'm just up here in my head.
yes. Nailed it. Yes.
What is this body? Why is it even here?
Yeah, like it comes with me.
So just take a breath with that.
Hmm.
So ponder the concept of embodied communication.
Okay, to me that means like you communicate with all, right? You're embodied. It's all, it's everything. That I've never really thought about it that way.
And I haven't either. And it just popped in my head, that phrase. So embodied, holistic, whole massy
Hmm.
communication.
Right.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, it's making me a little anxious.
Sure. So just notice that for a moment. Where do
Yeah.
you feel the anxiousness?
Kind of like in my stomach, but also like in my throat. Like I think this is crazy, but I think like it makes me anxiety because I feel like if I'm connected with that softer part, like I'll lose my voice. I think that is like a area of fear, right?
Oh, this is good.
So you work so hard to have like a strong voice, an independent voice, you name it. But if you soften, it's you. I guess it's the disbelief that you can have the both and somewhere it's a deep rooted like you're either or.
All right. So you've got maybe a very primary limiting belief of I can either be strong and independent and strong voice and don't let me put words in your mouth, or I can be soft and vulnerable and connected.
Yes, I think that's true.
So you tell me you're either or. Say it in your own words.
Yeah, I can either be independent and know that no matter how I build my life, I can always rely on myself and have, that and be working constantly on like self love and that sort of thing. Or I can be like soft and needy and like there's a lot of negative words I could associate on the or side to me, right? So it's like needy, weak,
Wow. Yeah, of course.
those sorts of like concepts.
I had another word pop up. Unprotected. Is that
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and really what it is, oh, then you're relying on someone else. Like you put too many of your eggs in that basket.
okay? Dependent.
Thank you. Yes. Dependent.
Oh, so really, and I know you probably know all this, but what are you feeling as we push down and into your body to feel the anxiety, stomach, throat, and
Mm,
that either or?
this is a tough one. I'm pretty surprised about how ingrained this is because logically I understand that that's clearly not your only options. But emotionally and spiritually, I don't know why I'm so vested with this paradigm.
Hmm. So let's check that out. And I'm going to push you into your body again.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you feel that investiture?
Kind of like my torso. It's definitely like a protection.
And if you're able to close your eyes and feel or see or touch or anything of that protection, that torso protection, what do you see? What do you feel?
It's like the exact opposite of what I described of what I wanted. So it's like sleek, cold, hard, like the way a body armor would be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and just really see and feel that. And it sounds in some ways, I'm like, oh, it sounds kind of cool looking, a little kick-ass.
Right?
But
I
yeah,
know. It's very attractive.
it's very attractive. And, it's like, oh, I want one. That, let's all wear those.
Exactly.
So you're strong, so that there will no doubt you're strong.
Yeah.
You're protected.
And people can see that, right?
No one's going to take away my power.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, so just breathe with it. What do you want to thank the armor, that cold, sleek, beautiful armor for?
Mm. Well, it's served me well, like in so many capacities of life. Like it makes you fierce when you need to be fierce, and it gives you a sense of confidence, and it gives you a sense of comfort in the confidence.
When, what's coming up is almost this visual of a warrior goddess coming into her home, her cave, her, what, her castle,
Right.
coming in, and there's a fire and it's safe. And she's able to take off, the armor and put it up on, on a hook on the wall so I've got that like almost like a medieval Massey
Yes, exactly.
coming in of where can you let down your guard? Where can you put it down?
Well, where I want to put it down is definitely at home. And I certainly think I've made some strides in my mother-child relationships, and
Yeah, I was curious about that.
easier for me to identify. Yeah.
The softness is there any softness there with your children?
Yeah, there is. There's softness in this. I have, I think over the last 5 years, just really tried to enjoy the moments, and whether they're big or small or challenging or just joy. I've really loved it all. And that's like, that's easy. But again, I
What
think
makes that easy?
it makes it easy because I maintain the power in the relationship. I'm their mother. They're my children. Although I do believe they're entrusted to me. It's not like they're possessory to me, but
No,
they
and
look
I
to
know you
me.
have an incredible mothering.
Yeah.
So feel that though, you feel safe in a certain way, that you don't have to have the armor,
Hmm.
in the home with the children. The warrior goddess comes in and puts off her armor and the children run to her and
Yes.
she can love them. But she's still this strong, fierce mother
Right.
who's ultimately, in a sense, in control.
Yep.
What's coming up, Massey, as we play around with this? This chunk is all about trusting my client, getting her out of her head, into her body so she can find what's in the way, what's blocking her from accessing her full self. Not surprising, there are some limiting beliefs lurking around, some either or thinking. As Massey put it, either she can be strong and independent, or she can be vulnerable and needy. It's one or the other. And then her self-realization that she kind of likes that protection of her cool warrior armor. It has served her well. It's this self-clarity that leads to new possibilities. You are witnessing Massey's growth process in real time. Coaching so often is a simple process when you break it down. Starting with one, asking, what do you want? Then looking at what's in your way, and then exploring how you can get what you want. Always ending with the action, the move forward. I know you can't necessarily self-coach all of this, but I'm hoping that Massey's coaching inspires you and you walk away with a few new insights. Notice how everything is coming from Massey, from within. That's why it's important to go deeper into how it would feel, why I use the body awareness, going to a visual picture, using the senses. It was especially effective because Massey is highly intellectual, up in her head. The deeper shift is hiding down in her body. It could be the same for you or the opposite. Maybe I need to get you out of your body, see it from a more detached perspective. It's not like coaching is a one size fits all. I invite you to go deeper. How would it feel to be your full self in the relationship? Close your eyes and imagine it. Dial up your senses to really see and feel what you would be like. Jot down some thoughts, capture any insights. And notice if it's a clear path or road to that best self, or if there are some obstacles or places where you get itchy, uncomfortable, or anxious. For Massey, the anxiety was a big old clue, leading to awareness of the armor and how even though it's blocking a more intimate relationship, it's hard to leave the comfort zone. When we get anxious, many times that means we're getting warmer, closer to a breakthrough or an aha. It's all about building on what's inside, what you're bringing up and out, trusting that you have answers and solutions. This is you working your way into the growth zone. I'm just excited that you're exploring. Now listen in as Massey and I coach right into a new paradigm and find new possibilities.
Just really like, how do I let go of this and be equal to another person and let go of the concept of like, and blend, right? Do the blending of the both and the and. You can maintain
So
the,
tell me what does the both and? Can you frame
like you can maintain your independence, and when you're soft and more vulnerable, it's equally like a strong position. There's a word there, but it's not coming to me.
All right, so let's feel for it and open up to have that come in, to be able to think it. I can both be independent and strong and soft and connected. I can be equal.
Yeah. So what's coming up for me is an analogy in like the judicial system. So if you think about like the powers that are granted to the court through like statutes or laws on in the books, and I'm just making it very simple here, but then the court has its own like inherent power. It just comes because it is. And I think that maybe reframing that, the power of that relationship as like an inherent power, So it's like it's a power because it exists.
Keep pushing in there.
Okay, yeah. So it's a power because it's a power in its own essence, its own being.
And so I don't know if I'm hearing this right at all, but this isn't just about you and your partner. It's like, okay, there are these two people and who's empowered. That I'm hearing that there's a safety and a power inherent in this bond, in this relationship.
Right, exactly.
Or do I have it completely wrong?
Nope, I think that's exactly where I'm kind of at. Like,
Massey, quit jostling for protection and power. As if this father of your children is someone to be negotiated with, like who, how are we going to come out of this?
exactly.
What will the decision be, moment to moment of who, quote, won, even in a way? Here's what's popping up in my mind of you are within inside a circle with him.
Mm-hmm.
It is true interdependence, not it is you guys are in that regard, an entity that creates its own protection for both of you within it. So I don't know if anything like that is resonating.
Oh, I think it's spot on, Amy, per the norm. But I like, okay, yeah, so that was the word, interdependence.
There's the both and. You are blended. You are
Embodiment.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Where do you feel that in your body? Just the concept of that kind of a both and interdependence.
It's interesting. I feel it in the same spot. I think there's a lot of comfort, right, in a feeling of being interdependent. I mean, because it's nice to not be alone, and it's nice both. I mean, physically, not just physically, but spiritually,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and to have growth together, and to experience all those moments that I talked about, like with the kids, right? The joy, the challenge. You do that together.
To grow together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm picturing you moving the protection of that armor to kind of outside the circle that contains both of you. Like protect the relationship, protect the interdependence. You can move it outside of you to encompass the two of you, to encompass your family. Is there anything there with that concept?
Yeah, I think, of course, what's coming up for me is like, okay, so how do I create? What kind of practice do I put into place to like? That is what I want. I think that's exactly the image of what I want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now that I know the intention, I got to do some work.
Yeah, because we've got classic coaching, not only shifting beliefs, new paradigms, new perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to see something that we couldn't see before. And from there, what becomes possible? And how do you make actionable those possibilities? That is right at the heart of coaching. So, Massey, what are the first things that come to mind of what you can do now?
I think literally just using that imagery of when I am with my partner and in that circle, literally remembering to take the visual and hang the armor up. Like take it off and hang it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I accept the challenge. I will just do it in like small steps. I think small steps would be good for me because everything you're saying to me is like pinging me at different spots in my body of like, don't do it. That's I don't know whether it's the ego or something's coming in to be like, like I gotta break through those.
So can you close your eyes again and where do you feel that? Where is the pinging happening?
Yeah, it's more like in the throat, chest area of like that's where it's at.
So let that speak. If your chest and your throat can speak, what do they want to say right now?
They say like, oh, it's those ingrained, untrue thoughts. Like oh, don't do that. Like you'll be too weak. Like don't do that. Like that's too much reliance. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be taken advantage of. Don't do that. And
So feel how strongly that rears up.
mhm,
So could you just breathe with that for a moment? You've got to honor when it pops up
mhm,
is the you get to stop and go, oh, okay, what am I feeling? Not just thinking, what am I feeling?
mhm.
And listen. Pour a little love there of like, yes, this is scary. This is different. So feel it. It's not just a moment to connect with your partner, it's a moment then to connect with yourself as well.
Yeah.
If you're connected right now to that chest and heart and voice, what do you want to say to those very real fears of that's too dependent, that's too weak?
I want to say the truth is that you need to feel somebody else to remind yourself to love yourself. And it's only like a positive ripple effect. There's nothing, I can't even think of a downside to. What's
Hmm.
the worst that can happen? That's what I want to say to them.
And so ask your chest and your throat, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, what is the worst that can happen? I mean, and it just immediately takes me to gratitude because, how fortunate am I that I even have somebody to work these issues out with.
That's okay with you coming on a podcast and talking about your relationship.
Yes.
How awesome is he?
Yes.
Oh,
He's amazing. I mean, yeah, he's
where do
amazing.
you feel that in your body? His
Mm,
amazingness.
that is embodiment. Like it's all over. It's like a truth. It's one of those truths.
Oh, Massey. So take a moment to really let that truth ring at every level in your body.
Mhm. Yeah, it just makes me really happy. Yeah, happy, grateful. A little bit of that light shines through, that warmth. It feels good.
What are you noticing?
A little softer.
A little softer. Golly. So look what we just did. It's not enough just to see this, shift the perspective, go, okay, I'll do some embodied, more physical touch connection. The real change comes, Massey, when you go, oh, and then that brought up stuff, and then connecting with yourself,
Hmm.
listening, loving, and then there's the growth moment. Then you're led into gratitude.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing, Amy.
Your internal psyche, spirit, it knows how to get here, love.
Hmm.
Just create some space. You have everything you need inside to grow to this level. Originally, I was going to end the episode a few minutes back with Massey picking the action of hanging up her armor. Off she goes, nice and tidy. But I really wanted to share the deeper growth moment that came after choosing an action, accepting the challenge. The moment of, oh no, if I hang up the armor, then I really am vulnerable. This shit just got real. The growth process spirals around back into listening to her body, finding more depth, truth, and answers. Massey has so much courage and willingness to grow. Beautiful. I want you to notice the power of a new paradigm and that both and thinking, which, by the way, both and is another tool covered in episode 11. Massey put it as I can be both independent and strong and soft, connected, equal. Interdependence instead of dependence. Blended instead of disconnected. Look how she transcended her initial either or limited thinking. That perspective shift is the gateway, the opening that enabled new growth. Consider the relationship that you have been focusing on during this episode. What is your paradigm shift? What would be a game changer? You might have a light bulb moment right now, or just a little spark that inspires you to spend more time listening and exploring what you really want for your relationship, what the next level might look like. I absolutely want you to walk away today knowing that you have all the answers inside you, an endless capacity for growth and transformation. There's nothing I would love more than to explore with you. I'm always here as your coach. You can connect with me for your own growth moment, one-on-one private coaching, or join one of my coaching groups or workshops. Go to thegrowthmoment.com for the latest, and remember to subscribe, follow on your favorite podcast app. Now get out there and grow today.